go right. You can go forward, but never ever back. Yeah. Woke up. I ain't wake up. Beautiful day.
I ain't feeling your side. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? KCE, King Chaka.
King Chaka ENT. Y'all can check out the music on Spotify, Apple, and other services. Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Podemos ayudarnos más? Sí se puede. Remember, an educated and united public cannot be controlled. Get organized. I apologize for being late, y'all. Had to work. As soon as I can get on. I do this out of love, y'all. I don't make no money off of this. I've been putting a lot of freaking time and effort into this show. The only assistance I have is with Doc and Pat and Deuce, and I really appreciate them. So, the name of the show today is A New Revolution, okay? It's something I've been thinking about for a while. I feel like there's something in the air, right? You can feel it. And I don't think that it's local. I really don't. I think it's global. And not only that, I think that it's been sputtering for a while now. It's a powder keg, waiting for a spark. And I think that the powers that be, are feverishly stomping them out. Little fires that break out here and there and there and here around the world. They're feverishly stomping them out. They're afraid they're going to catch, and they're going to spread globally. We're going to talk about race a lot today. So if that makes you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like you shouldn't talk about race, that's what perpetuates it. If you feel like, race, doesn't matter, or that you don't see color, or it doesn't really impact the way the world is today, you know, if you feel like the world is perfectly fine and like it could be no better, like this is the best it can get, go ahead and exit out of the video and unsubscribe or whatever the hell, go ahead and go back to your delusional experience that you're having here on this planet, because it's a real thing. And these uncomfortable conversations need to be had. The ones that you have at home with your close family members or your close friends, You know, these conversations need to be had on a more wide level. Um, like I was saying on the other show, take the mask off. Us pretending, that everything is fine, it's always been this way, or there's nothing you can do about it, you know, those attitudes have to stop, you know. Um, the, the the train thing was in the news recently, and they were saying that they're using World War II technology for the trains. Why is that? Can we focus on that? um our water systems, and I'm just talking about the US, and other places can, I'm sure, attest to similar situations. um the pipes was laid, like, I don't know, early 1900s or something. Like, they're over 100 years old, and they just been repurposed, refurbished, uh, maintained in a way just so that it can keep working, uh, you know lowest possible quality. you know I mentioned in another show that that TV, the cartoon show, the Jetsons, it was set in today's time. And I remember watching that show as a kid. So then they imagined the future in a certain way, and if anybody saw the Jetsons, and that they imagine what the future would be like, and it's like we don't have it, like, any of that stuff. Very little of it. you know Maybe the consumer based type stuff, like related to the cell phones and the gadgets and stuff. But, like, it was still based on like a 50s era way of, like, the uh, what is it, the nuclear family, and the wife staying home and taking care of the house, and the husband making enough money to pay for all of the bills, and he goes to work and comes home and greets the wife and greets the kids and stuff like that. So it was still based on some kind of, like, really old way of thinking that really wasn't even really real even then. Like, it wasn't even really, like, really true even then. Um, and another thing about the Jetsons was, I don't remember seeing any other people other than white people in that show. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember seeing anybody that wasn't. Okay, it was a cartoon, it's animated, but the images that they had in the cartoon didn't show different shades of people. So that's another issue with it. But my point is that I don't think we realize how much we're missing. How they say you don't know what you're missing, you know? How much things have improved in a lot of ways, and how much things have kind of regressed in a lot of ways. You know, Things related to social programs, especially things related to, you know, egalitarian type of stuff, uh, just really common sense stuff. I think we've gone insane. I've said it before. Like, that's why I feel so alone all the time, is because I feel like the world has gone bonkers, like, really just insane, like, things that don't make any sense. Where, like, the idea of looking out for yourself, I get it. Looking out for your friends and family, I get it. You can't change the world, I get it. you know just try to live as best you can under the circumstances, I get it. And that's actually logical. Those are logical ways of thinking. It's just that you know, they give us these pacifiers here and there, like voting, you know, like your car, that Tesla that you drive, you know, those airplane flights, those vacations, you know, they give you these trinkets and they give you these pacifiers, um, to and distractions. The internet is all just a distraction. Seems like it. What one of the things that's crazy to me is the idea that we have access to information, faster and more readily available than maybe ever in human history. And we've got some of the most ignorant, unaware society, peoples. We're so oblivious, we're so inept, we're so incapable, you know, to even accomplish simple tasks. It's because everything is laid out for you, it's made easy for you to just follow the path, just, be a consumer, consume stuff, go to work, and that's it. Try to be better than your neighbor as far as money, how much money you make, or how much vacation time, how much square footage you have, how if your car's the newest version, how much, what your title is at your job, how many people you have under you, type of thing, how many places you've traveled. That one's actually kind of cool. But it's like this competition, this individualism, this individualistic way of thinking, you know, that's part of the pacifier, and like I say, with the internet, the other part is all of the distractions, all of the clickbaits, all of the stuff to trigger your sensibilities, all the stuff to get you all in your emotions, and threat level red, all the stuff to keep you just scared. All you see on the news is your neighbor's house got robbed and they killed the kid and raped the mom or something. Like, I got to be careful with my language, but it's, you're going to catch a disease and everyone's going to die. It's going to be World War III, and it's going to be a nuclear holocaust. The Muslim extremists are going to come, or China's going to come and take over your country, or the Muslim extremists are going to come and take over your country, or it's just going to be guerrilla warfare, like Haiti. The gangs, it's going to be like Mad Max, That's all you're getting. Like, it's a vibration that sends you into, fear mode. It sends you into survival mode. It sends you into crabs in the bucket mode. I think that is a tactic, and it's working. Okay. But the name of the show is A New Revolution, because I think that's what's happening. That's what I see coming. That's what I see simmering. That, maybe it's just my optimistic hope, that things can change, maybe not within my lifetime, maybe not in time for me to see, but maybe for my kids or my kids' kids, because the way that we're living on this planet right now is not cool. And it a lot of stuff can be so different. So many things can be better, and like I say, I think people feel it. They feel it in the air. There's like a vibration. There's an energy that you just feel it while you're sleeping. It's like something ain't right. Something ain't right. But you just can't put your finger on it, You can't really identify it, It's like even once you get all of the stuff, you climb the ladder, you become successful, quote unquote, you know, and you have all the things that you want to have. You have time and you have money, you know. You go on vacation all the time, you have the condo or whatever it is. You know, and you feel it. You feel it. It's something ain't right. Something ain't right with this whole thing. Like, and what we do is we self-medicate. We talked about that a lot. You know, we self-medicate. And it doesn't even matter what level you are on the tax bracket. We're all doing this because we feel that something ain't right, you know? So we argue with our spouse for no reason, you know. We argue with our children for no reason, you know. We we argue with our friends for no reason. We like create unnecessary drama to just fill our time with, you know, to distract us from that reality of that feeling, that vibe, that something just isn't right. Something's not right. And, you know, what goes along with that feeling is, you know, there's something I should be doing different. There's something I can do about it. I can make it change. Or, or on the other hand, it's like, I'm contributing to this. I'm making this way. My activities, the things that I do personally, day to day, is the reason or one of the reasons or contributes to this situation where we can that you feel where things aren't right. Okay, so like I say, I'm gonna move on, and we're gonna be talking about race quite a bit, um because that's what's in the news. And you know, it's conversations that needs to be had, and they're uncomfortable and they're painful and they're hurtful, and it's, you know, it's very difficult to talk about these things, you know. But the revolution, what I'm talking about is, well, let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that some of the people that live on the planet are not human? You know, like, do you feel like they're a different species or something? You know, like, because I hear both sides. I fall in the middle, well, more than both sides, multiple sides. Being that it's what I study, but I'm super sensitive to this, anyways, and I'm always bringing out these kinds of conversations out of people. But so, you know, you got black people that feel like white people aren't really human, and you got white people who feel like black people aren't really human. You got people that feel like Indians, Aboriginal peoples, Hindus are not human, you know? This is true. This is a real thing, okay? It's a debate within the community that people don't, this isn't politically correct. They're not going to say it out loud necessarily unless they're within their close friend circle, within their family or whatever. They're not going to say this in public, but they really feel that way to their core. They believe that it's true. So, what about you? Do you think that, you know, actually some people aren't really human? You know? And how do you come to where did you get that from? Like, how do you come to that particular conclusion? What evidence do you have to support that? You know? Because if we really want to believe, you know, or trust in science, if you want to look at math, like, there's so much evidence to the contrary, you know? Okay, there is a small percentage of Neanderthal blood that's still in some humans to this today. But if you look at the definition of species, then you understand that once a species if you can't make babies that can make babies, then you're not the same species. Okay? So, but the thing is, a human can make a baby with any other human anywhere around the planet, no matter what their skin tone is, and those babies can make babies. And this is life forever, you know. This is the holy trilogy. Okay? Understand that that's just a reality. No matter what you feel, you know, the stuff that you think is true, the math is the math. Okay? Um but it doesn't matter what I say about that, right? It doesn't matter what I say. People still gonna feel the way that they feel. So then, you know, there's different roads you can go down related to this. Is it their behavior? Is it because of the way that a certain group behaves that makes you feel like they're not human? So then there's a certain behavior that goes along with being civilized. So then are you talking about being human, or are you talking about being civilized? So is the uncivilized not human? What do you think? Um, how do we reconcile this? Where do we go from here? When facts, data doesn't matter, you know? And everyone wants to feel like they're superior. That's the other part of it. It's like you got black people who feel like they're superior. You got white people that feel like they're superior. Different Asian groups, they feel like they're superior to any of the other groups on the planet for whatever reason, you know, wherever they got that from. And they believe this to their core, and there's nothing anyone can tell them different. So, you know, it's true that there are differences, but the differences tend to be mostly cultural. The thing that we call race is really just a social construct. In one of my classes, you know, we learn about bones and stuff a lot. So we look at skeletons and stuff, remains. So we can identify gender from your bones because the pelvic bone sits a certain way to allow for a child to come out of the birth canal. So women's pelvic bones have a different like angle on them. Back on the back part of like the butt bone part, I want to say it's the butt bone. The other side of it is also different. So it's the shape is different. So with that, we can identify if those remains are female or male. But you know what we can identify from those bones? If they were black or white or Asian, Latino, though you can identify it. That's because those differences are cosmetic, you know. They're something that we focus on little differences. We're very visual. We're visual creatures. And there's not much we can do about that. You know, we have these binocular eyes, and we basically, that's how we evolved. So the thing is, that's the other part. Like a lot of people feel, they don't even feel like evolution is a real thing. Like evolution happens, you know? Now, there could be a time in the future where we do split and become like different species, if you will, where you can have, there was a time in our past where there was different human species. Okay, like I say, this is the stuff I study. there was a time on the planet where you had, well, they wasn't considered humans. So we're going to call them, I don't know, let's call them ape men, if you will. I don't know what you want to call them, because in the books they don't call them human. You know, it's there's distinctions, modern humans, and I can go down the list of the names, but it doesn't really matter. You know, the technical names that they gave these different groups, whatever. So, but you had different. These were actually different species on the planet at that time. And so there could be a time in the future where we actually do split, because evolution is a real thing, you know, that happens. It's a gradual change that happens. You know, this is math. There's evidence to support this. And it doesn't really matter how you feel about it. Okay? It explains everything. Like it, not everything, but explains a lot of things. You know, it's irrefutable. It really is. Okay? So in the other video, I mentioned a little bit about the survival of the fittest. So a lot of this kind of like attitude comes from the way people perceive the idea of the survival of the fittest. But they really don't understand. So y'all go look it up. I don't feel like doing it right now, but you go look it up, what it entails. And it's talking about traits, the traits that are passed down so that this organism can survive given the environment that it's in, or whatever nutrients are available, or whatever. You know, so it's not about who has the biggest gun, who has the most artillery, who can bully the most, you know, who can dominate another person, like this whole idea of alpha male and beta male or whatever. Like that's not what survival of the fittest is. It's the ones that's most fittest to survive, to pass down these traits, to pass down these genes. It don't have to do with the guy with the biggest club who can knock people out or whatever. That's not it. That's not it on the scientific side. But people feel like, you know, and a lot of the racism comes in with this idea of survival of the fittest. You know, the fittest racial group, you know, but that's not even what it is. It's traits. Okay. And I'm going to tell you what, if you live in a world where you have, you know, privileges that make it so words you don't have to deal with the world in a way that you are, like, let's say, fighting for survival. As time goes on, that affects you, okay? And that affects your offspring's offspring, okay? Because, you know, humans needing to know how to survive or what to do to survive, that's what keeps us alive. Who made the most money is not what keeps us alive. It does in this society that we live in, this fake world that we've created, but that's not real. That's a facade. That those checks, that credit card, that doesn't work in the jungle. You can't swipe your credit card in the jungle. There's a lion, tiger, or a bear, or whatever the hell, a spider, deadly spider, and you swipe your credit card and be like, can you not kill me or eat me or whatever the hell? Like, you throw your money, you got wads of cash, or throw it at the lion. That's not going to help you. Try to understand the point that I'm making. The survival of the fittest is about passing down traits that allow you to be able to survive. Okay. And evolution is real. Okay. But this racial construct that we've created is not. Okay. And when I'm talking about the idea of the new revolution, it's the one where people start to break free of these constructs. Now, a lot of what we talk about in the news, or what you see in the news, is the gender wars, if you will. The idea that there's more genders or whatever, that it's more complicated than that, and that's okay. Um, so that's like the idea of breaking down those barriers, right? But what I'm talking about with a new revolution is I'm talking about these barriers that we have put up racially and culturally, okay? Because I'm talking about a global revolution where humans recognize other humans as being human. And when people realize that women's rights is humans' rights, you know, well, people realize that Black rights are human rights, gay rights are human rights, you know, go down the list. It's really just human rights, okay? The respect that another human deserves to have, his birthright is the to be respected as a human and treated a certain way, okay? Now, if we can all get to the point where we acknowledge the differences that we have culturally, or by the shade of our skin, language that we speak, the history that we have, or whatever, and we can respect those differences, but at the bottom base is we recognize that that other is a human. It's like the idea that I talked about in class. We were talking about the idea of people being irredeemable. Because this chick in class, she was talking about a guy who had one of those, I don't know, it's the white power or the swastika or whatever. It's the tattoo that they get. And it's like, she's like, no, I can't deal with that kind of person. It was a family member. It was like her sister's husband or something like that. I don't know, something like. And so she said that she can't no longer deal with her sister or her husband because he has this tattoo, you know, and she's not trying to affiliate. This was a white chick. She was saying that she can't affiliate with them, you know, or have any kind of converse with them, you know, um, because of their ideologies that they have are so inherently opposed to the ones that she has. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I get it. But if we decide that certain groups are irredeemable, then there goes the excuse for us to do things like eradications, you know, forced sterilizations, you know, just kill them, right? And she was like, no, no. But I'm saying this is the connection. This is the direction that goes in when you're like that. I gave an example with her that, you know, you go to a park and it's an outdoor court and basketball court, and you go out there and you play. Different groups of people are there playing basketball. Let's say one of the guys there has that tattoo. I can't see that tattoo. It's under his shirt or whatever. And we're just hooping. We're just playing basketball. You know, I'm a black guy. He's a white guy. He has the tattoo. And we're just playing basketball. You know, at this moment in time, we're just humans, right? We're just humans at play or whatever, interacting, you know? when they go back home and they're with their friends, then that's when they get all like with this pack mentality, you know, this mob mentality where they gear each other up and fire each other up and rear each other up, you know. I hate those others. I want to go kill those others. We should go beat them up or something, you know. If I see one, I'm going to do this, that, and the other to them or whatever, you know. And I swear, I feel like it's like a hobby. I feel like it's just like something to do, like it's something to entertain yourselves. Because I think that a lot of those people inside, you know, it's like I want to be cool, and this is my way of being cool. You know, I look cool to my friends when I talk this way. You know, or when I do things like this. You know, but like I say, the guy didn't really have a problem with me when we were playing basketball because it wasn't in that environment. It wasn't in that vibe. It wasn't in that scenario where we're gonna get together with our white guys and we're gonna go looking for some trouble. You know, it was the vibe of I'm just here to have some fun. Like let's go hoop. Like it's kind of like even though he might feel like, you know, I don't really like black people or whatever. Maybe I think they're lesser or I think they're not human or whatever. Maybe he does feel like that. But he's hooping. He's playing basketball. He's just playing basketball, you know? So that doesn't matter, you know, at that time, you know? Maybe later on, like I say, when he goes home to his friends, maybe it matters. But during the basketball game, it's like we're just playing the basketball game. Like, I want to make some baskets. I want to block some shots or whatever, you know? It's like when you're out there, you pick your team. So it's like you want to pick the guys that's gonna win. You know, you're not there with your crew. You're just at the court. So it's not like it's your friends. It's all random people. So when it's time to pick the teams, it's like the guy that was looked like he was making shots, or maybe he's tall, or maybe he just looks nimble, or you saw him dribbling. You're like, I want that guy. I want that guy. I want that guy. You know, you pick your team. You know, because you want to win. You want to have fun, whatever. At this point, it's not about the race or whatever, right? What I'm trying to say about the new revolution is people getting together despite their differences, despite the things that even the feelings that they have inside, and realizing that they can work together to make a better world for all of us because we're all suffering no matter which side you are on this. Okay? You're suffering. That's the reason why you lash out in the ways that you do. That's the reason why you find these clubs to be in to like entertain yourself, to distract you from that feeling that you have, that vibe that's in the air where you know things are wrong. You know that they could be better. You know that there could be, you could make a change. And you feel like a guilt, you know, on both sides. You feel a guilt. And it's because you're not living right. It's because these societies that we live in are not conducive to humans living properly, okay? Living the best that we could live. I don't know. I'm rambling now. What's up? How you feeling, man?
What's the deal?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. So how you doing, man?
I can't complain. You know, I'm tired. I've been working a lot.
I hear you.
I got a dentist appointment coming up. It's gonna be costly, and I plan to move. So all of this is gonna happen like in right around the same time. So I'm grinding to make sure that my money is right and I won't
Shoot,
be in a bind.
shoot, I know your money, right? As tight
Yeah,
as
I'm.
you is.
Yeah, I'm. You was talking about being conservative. I'm pretty damn conservative when it sometimes, hey, I'm older now, bro. I didn't did all the stuff. I like having fun and all that, but anyways, what do you think about any of the stuff that I said so far? Like, you came in halfway through the monologue. What do you think?
Well, for the part that I mean, for what I understand about what you're saying, I mean, I think that our world has conditioned people to feel they have to be a certain way because of the people that they are around, their friends, their family, uh, maybe even co-workers that maybe aren't friends, but because they look like each other, they supposed to maybe like fit into a certain mold. But when you really look at it, I mean, if you can get past the identity uh social project that's been going on, and if you can get past that and see people as people, we can maybe get somewhere in this world. Because I mean, the average person is dealing with the same issues and problems, and that's like, even when it comes down, like, even money doesn't separate a lot of the issues that a lot of us have. Because, bro, there's a lot of things that we do. We all have children. We, most of us, especially around our age, we got some children that we're concerned about and want them to have, a good world to grow up in. And if we're not careful, we're gonna ruin not just them, but the world that we're supposed to be preparing for them. So, if we're thinking that we can do something that's going to, like, you're trying to protect your child, but in a lot of cases, if we're not open to the fact that there's other people who don't look like you that's trying to have the same thing, we're really working against God. Ultimately, that's the way I see it. That
And I think so too. We're working against God because, and I think that's what's holding us back. Like the biggest thing that's holding us back is this is pretty much this racial idea, you
yeah,
know, and all of the technologies and all of the advancements that we could be making as humans, as
mhm,
the whole globe, you know, things could be so different and it could be so much better for everyone, you know, if we could just stop it with that, you know. And then
yeah,
it's the pretending that it's not a thing is 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 like I said, it's a pacifier, it's a distraction, it's
no, bro, it's people. So many people living in fear, and that's the problem. I think mostly is a lot. Most of these things are generated in fear, and it's never the person on your same level. Like I said, I mean, regardless of your demographic, your skin color, your house size, your what kind of car you drive, this, that, and the other. Like, we're all humans. We have the same needs. We have, maybe some different wants, but that's, that doesn't pinpoint just on race. Like, I know, it's regardless of how you see the world, the person that you usually have you're in conflict with, y'all probably have like, look at the see, like, want the same things.
and, and that's why I talk when I talk about politics so much. I try to focus on the fact that I think that what we call the left or the right or the libertarians or whatever, they across the spectrum, they agree on more things than they disagree on, you know, because
Yeah.
we all need the same things, like you said, you know, we all would like to see the world improve, you know, um, but the media focuses on the little differences that we have that causes us to, you know, bicker and fight, you
Hmm.
know, um, we you know, we also have these legacy issues. What I mean is certain groups get certain privileges or whatever, and they want to preserve those, you know, for their children and their children's children or whatever, you know.
Hmm.
So that goes with the idea of the status quo whenever I say status quo, because um but but what I want to focus on with that is that these people are suffering too. You're causing your children and your children's children to suffer too, with the systems to continue the way that they are, and it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum or which side that you're on it, you know. It doesn't even matter what philosophy you have on it.
No.
Anyways,
But
I
let
go
let
ahead.
me add this because I was actually thinking of this. I mean, I actually was listening to, I'm a listen to YouTube most of the day, driving the highway or whatever. And it's this guy, I think that because I mean, even people that look like you, we end up having issues with to some extent because in my opinion, I feel like they're really missing the point. And here we are with this guy, he's promotes Indians. He talks crap about, Moors and uh, Aboriginals and this, that, and the third. How they have this big argument. And I'm like, regardless of what you call yourself, we're the same people. And the main problem I have is that we're still fighting against each other, or have thinking that you're going to win some award by out out debating the another group, and then we're not hadn't gotten any further as a people, period. Like, we're at a standstill because of this very crap that you think that you're so high and mighty about. Like, it's really, like, because I mean, I break it down to from genetics. Like, I mean, we're humans, and because you decide that you're, uh, let's just go to, like, uh, shoot, even the Crips, the Bloods and the Crips have come to a peace off, like they pretty much get along. Of course, you do something stupid, yeah, you might get your ass whooped, but for the most part, they just not riding up on you just because they feel like it today. No, and to me, it's just a whole bunch of BS that is uncalled for. But we play into these different things that really don't matter. Like, whatever you decide you want to be, or who you follow, how you call what you call yourself, or this, that, and the other. Be happy in that. You don't have to try to tell nobody or try to make somebody what you think they should be. And
And I think it's all getting old. And like I say, it's in the air. Um, it's all getting old, and it's all getting exposed. And I think that there's a revolution around the corner, man, like a real live global revolution that's coming. Like like I think it just needs a spark. It's a powder keg waiting for the right spark. Cause see, like the when the Black Lives Matter thing happened, it was completely organic. There was no leader, there was no, you know, it was just a reaction. Like it was a spark that lit a flame,
mhm,
and it got stamped out and corrupted, you know, but originally it was organic, And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's a prelude to what's happening. And what maybe Black Lives Matter is not a good example of what I'm trying to say, because what I'm trying to say is not a racial thing as far as one race raising up and being angry or something, or trying to change the system or something. I'm talking about humans coming together and deciding to tear down the present systems and rebuild new ones
Yeah,
that are based on basic respect for humans.
and that's the thing. And I think a lot of people, because I guess one of my biggest fights, we talk, shifting to somewhat politics, that the in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, maybe people seeing things way clearer than I think, but I don't think that, like people fighting over, having their personal issues that they fighting over. I think like just because we're having those issues, we're not realizing that, all right, we have a constitution that protects us and allows us to do pretty much any and everything that, you know, just people should be doing, or or needs or wants. There's a way to get pretty much everything done that you want to do, all these things that we're fighting about. But the politicians know that as long as they keep us separated in some sort of fight, that will that gives them more power to make these shifts so that they can take control. You have no power. They can whoop your ass and into submission, and that's that. You really have no word anymore. And I think that over time that we've had, like, I've been in a time period where I felt the Democrats were the party of the people. I feel like we've gone through a shift now where that's somewhat different, or way different. But overall, if we keep separating ourselves with, these identity politics, we're ruining ourselves and our children. Like all of the things that our ancestors fought for, especially if we're talking about Black people. Our ancestors fought for a lot of different things, civil rights and freedom to move and live. But if we're not careful, we're giving all that stuff away, and our children or grandchildren will end up where our great grandparents were.
Yeah. I think I talked about it before in another show, but you ever saw the movie The Blue Book? The Blue Book. It's about a guy. He's a black guy, and he's really great at the piano. Like he's an entertainer. He plays beautifully on the piano. And in the movie, it's set in like the, I don't know, 50s, 60s, and he is traveling throughout the South to do shows. Some of them are private functions, like at someone's house, and some of them are at venues or whatever. You know. And the reason why the name of the movie is The Blue Book is because he had to use this blue book, is what it was called. It was a real thing that showed where black people could stop to have, to mostly
I
about
thought it was
hotels.
I thought it was a green book, but I mean
Green,
because the movie might have been called Blue Book, but I think actually it was a green book that was you know that that
I'm dyslexic, so it could be the color is not the point. The
yeah, well,
point
no,
is
I know, that's why I'm just well,
is
go ahead.
that the reason the point of the book was so that they can know where they could stop, where he could go, where you have hotels or whatever, or have dinner, have lunch, and all of this. This book was a guide, so that he could plan his trip. You know what I'm saying? For stops.
Places where he can stop and get gas, places where he can get food, somewhere he can sleep, where someone won't, that will accept him in and won't shoot, because maybe it was a bed and breakfast, maybe it's because and it wasn't. I don't think it was all just black businesses. It was some white businesses there that welcomed um black people, mostly black businesses I'm sure, but just the fact that you can be accepted in certain places was really what that whole thing was about. Like these were already tracked out and people knew they
Right.
created. Yeah. So yeah,
So, and he hired a white guy for a driver, um, and they became really close friends throughout the movie.
mhm.
And it's just really interesting. That movie is really good, explaining, how these racial differences are so silly, and the stuff that people have to go through just because of these silly ideas. You know, I wanted to talk about what's his name, the guy who does the show, the cartoon Dilbert. Let's talk about that
Yeah.
guy because I think something is happening, and that's part of the reason why I did the show with the topic that I want, talking about race, because I think what this guy has done, that see, the internet is the opposite. That's what I be saying all the time, because people do the opposite of what you intend for them to do, like, or whatever. And like really good influencers or people who produce content on the internet, they really understand what I'm talking about because you they react in the opposite way. Okay, like if you, it's like you, like a kid, you tell the kid not to eat chocolate and he eats chocolate. If you tell the kid eat the chocolate, then he won't eat it. You
Mhm.
get what I'm saying? It that's how it is on the internet. And I think this guy, with what he has done, and he's really smart, he's a very intelligent guy, but he made this really crass comment that was super terrible, and it got him. It pretty much done broke his income stream, as far as I know, because they're dropping him everywhere. So, and he knew that there was going to be consequences for this. So, like, there's a lot of arguments about this topic related to the cancel culture, and you know how I feel about that. I don't like, if we're going to have free speech, then let them have free speech. But on the other hand, consequences to the things that you do are there's always consequences to the things that you say and the things that you do, right? But I don't like the idea of, oh, cancel this guy or whatever. I don't like that. But what reason why I want to cover him is because I think that he has done something brilliant. And um us the media was forced to have a conversation related to those comments that he made. Okay? Um and I think it was well needed, and I also think that that was his intention. Um, he did it in a backwards way because that's the way the internet works. Now, I'm not giving this guy no pass or whatever. You know me, I be trying to explain that I don't. People are good and bad or whatever. Like good and bad don't really exist. Like it's like we all have a light and a dark side, and sometimes to accomplish good, you have to do bad, and sometimes you do good and accomplish bad.
Well,
Like
me and you've had that conversation quite a few times. It's like,
quite a few times. And so, but this is what, back to this guy. I think that is what I'm trying to explain is that he did something bad
what is
with
seen
the
to what is seen to be bad. Because
to for
because I,
a purpose to bring out a good. And
yeah,
like I really think that that was his intention, because this guy, what he said doesn't sound like, even though he's sincere, he is being sincere as far as I can see, but it's has an intention, man. Anyways, I got a couple videos on this. I
All right,
want to play a couple
all right.
clips, but go
But
ahead, say what you want to
yeah,
say.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I've been kind of looking at some of these
What did
social
y'all
media.
what did y'all hear? Let's, before I play any of this, what did y'all hear about this? What the comments he made? Do y'all know what they are, and how do y'all feel about it, or whatever?
Well, I have no idea who this guy is. I mean, if it was not for your videos, I probably would not even know this thing was even happening because, like, he doesn't even show up on my radar. Like, I mean, the race, because I mean, this guy obviously he was trying to be racy. He's trying to, do whatever, and I don't think most people are looking at him as being someone genius, but from your point of view and your opinion, maybe. But the things that he actually is saying is problematic because there's gonna be some people who might, depending on how big of a following he has, because it's mostly corporate people who are dropping him, places that he's making money, but his followers maybe going right down the road of what he's saying. Like, because I mean, of course, there's plenty of white people who going to be like, this is just ridiculous. But then there's going to be some that's going to be like, oh, I've been waiting on this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
well, it's a clip. Karen made a point. She says that his business he was in, anyways, was a dying business. Hardly anybody reads newspapers, so he has a YouTube channel, and he's producing his other content. Her what she said was he's doing this to make money in a different way, understanding that, like, I don't know, bashing black people, like being like and even on the from the black people, because that's what she was trying to say, because this guy claims he's black. He's been checking black on his what's the name for
but
forever. And so, but this is complex. If I'm trying to say, that's why it's gonna take a minute to get through.
I hear I hear what you're saying, and we can listen to the video to kind of that way you can kind of get some of your points across. But for me, I really feel like some of the things that he's expressing in his pain or his problem is things that black people had to get over, even and this is with with things that we know that some white people have done to the black community. But the black community, like, please show me where we're in mass or in any form really hurting white people.
Yeah. Well,
You know, I,
well,
um,
you know what the basic, basically, a quick summary of what I know about it is, this poll came out that said it was from the conservative firm Rasmussen Reports, and it said that 53% of Black Americans agree with the statement, "It's okay to be white." So on his little coffee with me thing, he basically goes, you know, if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to the poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. He said that on his Real Coffee with Scott Adams. I'm going to try to find his live broadcast if they didn't pull that too.
yeah,
He says, I don't want to have anything to do with them. And all I'd say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the fuck away, because there's no fixing this.
yeah.
that was pretty
That's
much verbatim
that.
what he said.
Yes, that is it. Yes, you really hit it on the nose there. And it's
I
like, okay,
can't be mad at him.
nobody wants to be lumped into a whole bunch because, all right, that's, I mean, we've been having this same fight forever, and like maybe he's new to the game, but I mean, since I've been a child, it's just like, well, like I've always had white friends. Like I grew up in a mixed neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't care
Yeah,
what
some
people say.
some of
I
some of them were
personally,
fucked up. No, I'll say some of them were fucked up, but most of them weren't. So how am I supposed to feel? You know what I'm saying? Am I supposed
Well,
to
look,
now because of a few assholes? I'm supposed to hate all of y'all?
but look, wait. Let's go back to this though. The poll though, because Doc explained that it's based on this poll.
That's a
Okay.
very
So
important part of this information, that he was responding to a poll. He's not just going, "This is the way I feel." And he
yes,
even
but
says
look,
in that, according to the poll, not according to me, according
But
to the poll.
but that's still
but
ignorant
look.
as fuck.
Let me
Go
let me
ahead.
tell you what. Whenever I hear that, my academic ears pop up related to the poll because I know that your specific questions can influence how people do. You can manipulate a poll. You can go to certain communities, or you can, you know what I'm saying, induce people to have certain answers, and your
Okay, the
data
way
can be fucked up.
the
And
way to
then
skew this data in a poll, from I've done statistics and psychology, the way you do it is you would ask 2 or 3 leading questions like, do you feel like the police handle black people well? Do you feel like white officers treat black people worse? Um, are you okay with white people? They'll load those negative questions and then ask that. So they've already gotten a slant on that last question.
so, and not only that,
Or at least that's how
whenever
I would do it with a poll.
and not only that, what you're saying, because you're absolutely right. Anytime you want to go by some polls, you want to know average of them, averages. Because just like that with the politics, we talk about
You want to know?
politics all
You
the
want to
time.
know the
They
pulse?
they
You want to know the
polls like
depth of it? You want to
they
know how?
poll heavily with the politics, and they don't never trust one poll. They'll multiple polls, and then they
I
do
don't trust
averages
any
of those.
polls.
The 3 things you need to wonder about any poll to use it as research is, what is the survey size?
Right.
What is the survey composition? And what is the plus minus for error?
Because listen, they said 53% of black people, they could have interviewed 7 people or something like that. They interviewed 5 people, or they
No,
interviewed 10.
yeah, they
You
could have,
know,
yeah, they could have interviewed 2 people.
so come
Well,
on.
yeah, but one of them would definitely have to be public school educated. That's the only way to get the 53%.
Well, but see, but that's how foul the polls really are. Like they are meant to mislead. That's why I don't trust really any of them.
You could get data. They use them for good reasons,
No,
but
I
you
know,
have
but
to.
that's
I've
What
drawn up
what
polls before. It's really about those questions and the way they're worded, and you know what I'm saying, and the
well,
size of your
one of the
the
well,
books in
pool.
my statistics class was How to Lie with Polls.
Yeah. So, but
Or
if you
excuse me,
wanted,
How to
you
Lie with Statistics, and it was about creating polls and stuff like that.
so,
well,
but you have to get. You can get good data. You can get good data if you have good sentences.
no,
That's what it's about.
you
So
can
And a
have,
what?
poll and a sample size of at least 1,000,
you,
maybe 500.
but no. See that, and that's the thing, because depending on where you're doing this poll, like this, you have to have to be in a mixed area. You can't just go to one
That's part
demographic.
of it. That's part
Yeah,
of
I
it.
mean, imagine the difference between here in Houston or up in Detroit.
So that's why you would have to have a sample size of
Probably wouldn't be
a
that much
certain.
difference.
You need to have a certain number of people from each state. So or you just be like 53% of black people in this state. So what? Did they interview black people from all over the United States in each
And
state?
and did they ask
These are questions I'd have to ask.
and did they ask, are you okay with black people? Because
Well,
I guarantee you that would have only been about an 80% yes answer on that.
it has to be. I mean, but at the same,
So
like, all right, look, that's number one. I mean, he's got to be at least half an idiot for even really, going as far as he's gone to use this poll to explain away what I just don't like. It doesn't make sense because for him
I,
to go
I
as
think
far
he
as he's going,
switched meds. They need to balance.
Well, I think
that's
this is
very likely.
very complex, and that's why I want to cover this. So let me play some of Karen Hunter. Now not gonna she's giving opinions and stuff. I have another video that really kind of gives you all the facts and
Well,
stuff.
you know my little
So
girlfriend. What's the black chick with the pretty with the all of the with the cute hair? Uh,
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of her name.
yeah.
Uh
Rising. What's the name of it?
she be on Rising sometime, but she has her own thing too.
Well,
So
yeah,
but
yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I
But
know
yeah,
exactly who you're talking about. I just can't think of the name. Let me play this because this we mentioned some of the stuff already. So hold on, let me just play.
866-801-8255. He says something before I get into what he said about affirmative action, which was very interesting. Very interesting. On this black man's show, and I'm saying that he's black so that you know that Hotep Jesus is black. He discusses the backlash that he's receiving for making these comments. Let's play clip number 9.
Well, I'll tell you a little secret about me. I never do something for one reason. So I wouldn't do it just for laughs.
Right.
I wouldn't do it just for clout.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly wouldn't do it for financial reasons. I don't know if you've heard, but the Dilbert's being canceled all over the country, and it's CNN is canceling me. I think TMZ was canceling me just before I got on. But I think the biggest newspaper that carries me has already decided to cancel. I would be surprised if I'm in business a few days from now. So here's the things you can know it isn't. I wouldn't do it just for laughs. I mean, it isn't that funny. It's pretty funny, but it isn't that funny. I wouldn't do it for money. I wouldn't do it for reputation. Why would I do it?
let's get to it.
Well, that's a question. Why would I do it?
I think you want to have the conversation.
Any other reason I would do it?
I think you wanted to
What?
have. I think you wanted to create room for the conversation.
I discovered that the price of free speech is really high, and there are only a few people willing to pay it. So I decided to pay it so that I could extend the conversation to something that everybody needs to hear. So let me set it up. You might want to play the quote first. Do you want to play a clip first or something to set it up?
Sure. Let me.
No. So the clip will be provocative, and then I'll give you the context. Now, I should say, while we're waiting to listen to this, that all day long people were very mad at me. That's why the cancellations. But to the best of my knowledge, nobody's disagreed with the point I made. And I keep asking if they disagree with the point, and they sort of avoid that question.
So
I think
the
that's
point
the
he's
problem.
making is, would you, I guess,
go ahead, comments.
I do think that's a problem that, like, no one has really, like, I guess, no one is directly disagreeing with him. And I think that for the most part, that is, especially if we're talking about the difference in blacks and whites. I mean, even black people are not saying anything, but you would think that white people would be like, no, that's stupid, and that's whatever, blah blah blah. They talk about his point and the things that he's saying, but nobody has truly just come out and said he is ridiculous for saying this. Period. And I think
I was
that's
saying I can't completely be mad at him. I mean, I think he over dramatized it a little bit by referring to 47% being a hate group, but that's a lot of angry people. Percentage wise, when you do that.
Well,
again, we don't know if it was 20 people or 2,000 people, but at the same time, he's dumbass for saying it. I mean, it's part of the conversation, but it's the part that no one wants to hear yet.
Well, we need to go down that road. We
It's
need
the
to be
part we're
ready.
trying to freaking work on.
We need to work on it, and it's good that that's why let's hear her comments.
Hang out or be around people that don't like you or don't agree that it's okay for you to be
We
you.
are.
Yeah,
We just
every
don't
day.
whine about it. We just don't whine about it.
Every
And you know
day.
what?
Every day we hang out with people that don't like us. So what?
Crying out loud.
Don't think we deserve to be where we
And-
are every day. What are you
Right.
talking about?
And also, it's not cancel culture, it's consequences culture. You can say what you want to say, but you don't have the freedom from consequences. So understand that. Like you said, he knew that perhaps he knew this
That's
was
a
going to
good
be
point.
provocative and he knew that things were going to happen, but he went ahead with it anyway, which means because he's not a dumb guy. So that tells me that he knew what time it was. He knew what he was going to be up against. Maybe he didn't expect the ferocity of it, but oh well.
And you know what?
Yeah, it was
Now he
swift.
has all
It
of his
was
IP.
yeah. No, I mean, so here's
on.
the question. Here's where I really want to land.
Hold on, what you saying? My bad.
I said, and now he's walked out of this, good or bad, win, lose. He's walked out of it with all of his IP intact with no challenges from networks or major corporations, hadn't he?
He might have learned from 50, not 50, freaking Kanye West.
Now, take a look, too. Back in September of 22, he also had some of this problems, too.
You know, and just to give a little bit of background, like, isn't that movie Office Space based on his comic strip? Am I wrong?
I don't know about that, but basically, what's his face had his own show, Glasses Guy, Chicago. Ended up doing Drew Carey. Yes, Drew Carey show was basically a live action Dilbert, or started out as.
Yeah, man. And I
he
used
was
to.
also. Go ahead.
I like this stuff. And the guy with the tie poking out, you know, it's like
when he was making fun of basically white office culture, which is his wheel well, that's what he knows. He's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's
But
actually
he's
pretty
gotten
good.
He's gotten a little political over the last few years, though.
Yeah,
But
and that's what they're saying. So, but
here's the
look,
deal. He got plenty of money. He's not that worried about this. He's
Nah,
a
he's not.
billionaire time and time over.
yeah.
He has enough money
I was already
to sit
thinking
back
that.
and talk shit for the rest of his life.
You-
And I
you
hate to say this. Look at him. Look at some pictures of him over the last few years. I think he's not well.
So you just want to go.
He looks tired now. Like there might be something more going on.
Maybe he didn't want to do the show no more. He couldn't get out his contracts like Kanye.
I'm thinking more like maybe Big C or something like that hitting at him.
Yeah.
866-801-8255. I'm giving out the number because I really want to have a conversation today. Renee Seiler is here. I feel as though post-civil rights and post-George Floyd, because I feel like it's a similar thing in terms of the reaction. It's a reactionary thing to something that's egregious, right? Civil rights, Selma Bridge, Birmingham, blowing up 4 little girls in a church, you know, the murder of Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy. You know, there's certain touchstones that America has to react to tamp down the fire, to keep the natives from being but so restless. George Floyd was one of those things. No, but it never deals with the core assault, right? It's let's hire more. Let's Super Bowl. Let's put some black people in the Super Bowl. Let's make a couple of black people here. Here's some money. Institutional organizations with letters. Here's some money.
Appeasement.
You know, be quiet here. Oh, HBCUs here. Money. We'll throw some money at you, and then we really don't have to change the power structure, right? So I feel like we've painted ourselves, and I mean all of us. And when I say we, I don't mean us. Actually, I don't mean us. So let me be very clear about my language. I feel as though there've been representatives of black people post-civil rights and civil war, post-civil rights that have taken money and pressure off of the power structure. at our detriment. We've gotten some victories. I'm putting up air quotes by so you have Black people in the boardroom now. You have Black, but it's window dressing. It hasn't addressed the actual systemic power structure. So when we have these conversations, nobody's lives have been really altered collectively. We're going to talk today about Jackson, Mississippi. There's no collective change. It's all window dressing. A few people have gotten better, including a lot of our institutional organizations. I was asking this question of somebody earlier before I came on. Where are our Ella Bakers, our Ida B. Wells, our W.B. Du Bois, people who were like poking, and actually going out, putting their whole entire lives on the line to break down this power structure? Ida B. Wells fighting for the rights of women to vote, even though Katie Stanton and all of the Susan B. Anthony didn't even want her Black self in their marches because it wasn't about power for all women. It was just power for white women. How dare you, Ida B. Wells? But she showed up anyway because that's what justice looks like, right? Ella Baker planning, just constantly, dealing with all of these egos to put together a strategy that would break the back of this power structure. Integration should not have been the biggest thing. And right now, reparations is still begging for something that is deserved and owed. You don't beg for anything that you're deserved and owed. I'm just going to say that. All right. So in many ways, I'm like, okay, what do we do with this? At the end of the day, it's just reaction to offenses, emotionalism. Some money will be thrown or some opportunities will be given to a couple of handful of people that somehow are proxy for the rest of us. And then we go on back, rinse and repeat. We'll be right back here. It didn't even take that long for the George Floyd summer to wear off.
Yep.
So I'm going to play one more clip and then we'll go to the phones and go to a break. 866-801-8255. I'm going to play two more. First, he talks about, and this is crazy. And again, nobody knew Scott Adams. Not really. He has less followers or subscribers on his YouTube channel, half as many as I do. So I'm just going to say that all the people on there talking about who are you? I got twice as many subscribers on my YouTube channel that I'm not even really that active on until the last month because I hired some people to be active. But yeah, I'm not on there every day going live and getting all that because that's not how I make my money. So it's just there for y'all to look at clips. This is the mission right here. Here in Nubia, this is what I do. YouTube is ancillary, and nobody was looking at Dilbert because nobody reads newspapers anymore. So if we're going to be honest, all of the newspapers, ain't nobody reading no newspaper cartoon. You aren't the business, whatever. And good. I'm glad you were making money and you're wealthy enough to not care. But that's a dying business.
Yep.
So he needed a new stream of income and found it. Because let me tell you, Trump will tell you, and all of Candace Owens will tell you, Jason Whitlock will tell you, Larry Elder will tell you. I can keep going. Jesse Lee Peterson, who can't string together two coherent sentences, will tell you. Diamond before Diamond and Silk. Silk will tell you because she's the only one left now that anti-blackness in media is a cash cow.
That's right.
It's a cash cow. So he done figured this out. Figured it out. But here's what he did. I thought it was really problematic and interesting at the same time. Let's play clip number 8.
So I'm trying to remember when it was, but several years ago, I said I'm going to identify as Black. Now, part of the reason was that I could. It was just an option, right? So I thought, well, that sounds good.
Wait, pause for a second. Pause for a second. Spence. Y'all, he checked Black. Look, I've been saying this though. So listen. There's a diagram where you got Bernie Sanders supporters, Trump supporters, and then Karen Hutchinson in there somewhere because I've been saying everybody should check Black. That would mess up everything. On everything. Everybody check Black because again, it's a made up construct. I've been saying this. He's been checking Black. Right. And because we have, so many people who, walk through this world who could actually pass. How do you know who's Black? It's a construct. So I thought this was really interesting and clever. Go ahead. Go ahead, Smith. Go. So
I'm trying to remember when it was, but several years ago, I said I'm going to identify as Black. Now, part of the reason was that I could. It was just an option, right? So I thought, well, that sounds good. But then I thought I could get the best of both worlds. If there's anything ever that's like, rationed by race, I can say, well, I identify as black. And if people wanted to treat me as white because they like that, they'd look at me and say, well, I think he looks white. So I thought I could get the best of both worlds, sort of a mix. But the less funny answer is that I was spending tons of time working on things that were directly for the benefit of the Black community. So a lot of the things I was advocating for. So for example, a lot of people don't know that I'm left wing. And a lot of your audience is going to be confused because the headlines are saying I'm a right wing MAGA guy.
Yeah.
I'm actually endorsing Vivek Ramaswamy for president,
Okay.
primarily because I'm a single issue voter on fentanyl. He's pretty tough on fentanyl. But what people don't know is I'm super left wing. I volunteered to work for Black Lives Matter, helped Hawk Newsom try to craft some useful policies that the right and the left would agree on. Stuff like body cams. I thought, wow, there's this problem of police brutality. What if more police had body cams? So I tried to work with Black Lives Matter to see if we can get something going. And now it didn't take long to find out that Black Lives Matter was a sort of a not legitimate organization. So long before the headlines verified it, my brief encounter, it was clear that they were not, focused on any kind of solutions.
All right, let's talk when we come back.
What do y'all think about those comments?
Well, I'm gonna tell you that one of the things that really bothered me is the fact that he says one of his justifications is him, because and a lot of people do that. It's like they think that because a lot of black people vote Democrat, left wing party, that you identifying as that makes you less racist, I guess, which I'm not in agreement with, because like if anything if people really look at the records, Democratic Party has hurt black people way more than the Republican, and that's just is what it is. Of course they joined up together. No, I'm talking about the statement that the guy made.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm super left wing, whatever. Like, bro, like that says nothing. Like that maybe encourages more racism deep down, and you try to hide it. You're just one of those that really just hide your racism behind you being a leftist.
Another part of this was they said that he said that he was against affirmative action, and he said it's racist by its nature, and Kim agreed with her on that. And it's a lot of people that don't like affirmative action for different reasons. It's not all just kind of like racism. I kind of want to play that.
My reason is personal. I actually took second place in a full ride to Texas A&M because of that box being checked. I actually had better stats, but not that number, and they went that way.
That way? What's that way?
The other gentleman getting the scholarship.
Okay.
The man that had the box checked that I didn't have checked. There's other things involved too, and the fact that he dropped out after his first year, which really aggravated me, because they don't go back to the second person. That just goes into the journal fund, and another person gets it the next year.
Well, affirmative action, to some extent. Because I think that it's maybe too, like it's not balanced enough. But, I think that potentially there's some good in it, and at the same time some bad in it. Because I mean, just because you're sitting in one demographic should not just,
Well, I'm okay with it for low end jobs and stuff like that, but I think once you hit a certain level of competence and ability, that should be out the window, and that shouldn't even be a check mark on the application.
Well, I mean, if you're using affirmative action in the low, like I mean, I don't really.
Trying to get more into the training into the workplace so they can learn more, so they can do more, build
On the
up.
face of it, it sounds good, but when you really just think about it, I don't like it. I think it's a kick in the face.
Yeah, you eventually are
So
hiring
shit.
because of identity and not skills.
Well,
So, but on its face, the point of it was to give more diversity, give more opportunity, or whatever. But I don't like.
It's
I
a
don't think
good swing, though. I mean, with what we knew then, with where we were coming from, with what we had to work with it was a great
I
step.
think their hearts were in the right place, maybe.
Absolutely.
For some of the people that were involved in it. But I think that ultimately, when you think about it, I don't. Let me play this clip.
Affirmative action. Yeah, it's racist by definition. It's racist by intention. It's overtly racist, and it's supposed to be. In fact, it wouldn't work if it were not racist. Would it? Now, I've tentatively been in favor of I'm forgetting the word, but I've been tentatively in favor of affirmative action historically. So I've been in favor of it, which is pretty racist. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you agree that for all the years that I was in favor of affirmative action, because I think probably there was a point in history where you needed a sledgehammer to get things, roughly equal. And it was very bad for people like me because I lost two careers because I wasn't black and I wasn't female. My bosses told me that directly. If you don't know those stories, you're going to doubt that they're true. Trust me, they're true. Yeah, I was told twice that I couldn't be promoted during my corporate years because I was white and male. They told me that directly, not hinted at it, directly, in direct words. Now, during those times, I was also in favor of affirmative action because it was also clear that, something needed to be done, and I didn't have a better idea. So I thought, well, I lost 2 careers, but I still had so many options that I went off and got rich a different way. So I didn't feel like much of a victim, even though I was targeted. I don't really have a victim mindset. So I had plenty of opportunities. So I just said, well, this sucks. I'll go somewhere where things don't suck so much. So I went where you could, succeed just with talent. I didn't need to be a certain color or gender. But so when I was in favor of affirmative action, which, by the way, I'm currently not in favor of. I'm currently not in favor of affirmative action, but only because the gap has closed enough, not completely. It's not like we have equality, but we've closed the gap enough that the best thing you could do for the Black community would be to get rid of favoritism. Because you want to do that short of actually full equality. Like you want to end the favoritism just before you get, or not even just before, but well before you get to total equality. Because the affirmative action causes bad feelings on its own, right? Affirmative action by its nature isn't a clean win for Black people.
Thoughts and prayers.
Like, I don't completely agree with his point. I don't. I just think that he's being brilliant in bringing up the nuances of this conversation.
Because I feel like we're so far away from the point of of this conversation through from what we're discussing. Like, what does affirmative action have to do with you thinking white people should stay away from Black people? Like, I just I'm trying to get it. I want to have the context necessary, but you know, I mean, when we get down to the nuts and bolts of it all, it's like explain. You know, like let's really get there. I mean, based on a poll, you're willing to tell you know you and whoever your followers are, you know, fuck black people is pretty much your thing. Like let's get to that point.
They're not covering that here though. Not in this broadcast.
Yeah, they're not focusing on that part right now in the video, but that's still a good comment that Pat made. Why, you know, why would he go? Why would he make these comments off of a poll and say just stay away from black people? Like that's the comment.
Yeah,
That's
like
the
that's
main
the po-
trigger.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, we're not, you know, and I don't think I need to really make any this what you call
Did
it
you remember
disclaimers.
the quote and the context? He says, if 47% of a group hates another group, I'm paraphrasing, then that's a hate group. My advice is just if they don't
But
like
that's
us, stay away.
but
We
that's
stay.
bullshit. But
And,
that is
and then he says,
1000% bullshit.
just get away,
Now,
get
Pat,
away from black people.
you have supported separatism.
I have
You have
where and
the
when, please.
black town that they were going to build their own. The argument about the Boston killer, about how the neighborhood knew itself. It was an insular neighborhood. They should have known not to let that guy in.
When is it? What are you talking about?
I don't have a problem with people living with the groups that they want to live with. Like I don't think that.
Oh
That's,
no, I'm not. But that is another form of it.
but I don't think that's what we're talking about when we're talking about like affirmative action, because
Well, this is affirmative action. Are we talking about what they were just talking about? Or are we talking about the guy's quote and the context of it?
that's what
Well,
we're talking about.
That's what I was commenting to was Scott Adams's words, not these ladies.
All right, so if I was to say, if the roles were reversed, and there was 53% of white people that was you know that's you know hated black people, you think that you know you feel exactly the same way where
And you said that we should stay away from them. Yes, that is also a separatist attitude. Anything where your view is just stay the fuck away from them, separate them, that's separatist. That's
I
what
know,
separatist is.
but I don't agree with him. And I'm trying to find out are you in agreement that is what should happen? Not based on what he said. I'm
No,
talking about
I
what Doc says.
absolutely do not think that should happen.
Okay.
But I think those words need to be out there and talked about,
Well,
so people know
but
that's
it
wrong. That's a bad idea.
but see, but the whole part that I like the biggest part is that regardless of what percentage of black people, you know, like it's problematic because I mean, if we ever reverse the roles, you're putting a group of people in danger that would never do any harm. And I guess I could be like Farrakhan and says, yeah, you know, out of a million snakes
He was big on separation, wasn't he?
well, yeah, he is. But I mean, I think there's some misguidedness there as well. I mean, I think, you know, if that's how you feel, yeah, like some people, maybe that's the best thing for them. But we're still living in a
Well,
world.
yeah, that's why you agreed on like that community that bought all those acres, like those 20, 30 families, and we're going to do a, you know, colored only city community out there.
And I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with
Yeah,
that.
and that's for the people that's
Well,
choosing that.
hell yeah.
I'm talking about,
White people call them the Amish.
Okay, and that's fine. Nobody hates the
Or
Amish.
white people call our people that do that the Amish.
Okay, but see, but what do they call black people when you do that? Militants.
Only if they arm their camp.
Well, see, we're made into dangerous people.
Only if they
That-
arm their
something like-
camp. You think the white people don't arm their camp? Come
Well,
on.
I know
The Amish
it-
don't. Now these Davidians and the Crazians and the Cthulhuans and half of these other ones, oh yeah.
Well, I'm like this. When you demonize it, all right, 53% of the people feels that one way, because I mean we might as well say 50-50. Half of black people think there's separation, and the other ones don't think nothing of it. They're just living and trying to live their lives. But now, but 100.
It
No,
was.
but one.
Are you okay with white people?
100. But now 100% of black people, you should
Yeah,
not
off
have
of a
anything to
50,
do.
off of one poll. And then it's at 53%. That's almost half. That's probably within the margin of error.
See,
wait,
now
what?
he's also taking the statement of, "Are you okay with white people? Yes or no?" To they hate us, and that's bad on him.
All right, 'cause
No
see,
matter
that's
what
not-
words he's trying to come up with, by taking it from "Are you okay with?" that doesn't mean hate.
Well, and that's one thing, because I don't want to try to explain why somebody might say, them not being okay with white people, because I mean, there's a lot more reasons I would say that we can prove through history why black people has the right to say that, and why white people really shouldn't, because even though like before people can grieve, they're already forgiving people that killed their family or whatever. So I mean, we never find that in the opposite. So it's like, if a group of black people say that no, they're not okay. Look, I might not be okay with some white people, but I'm not gonna say I'm not okay with 100% of them. Yeah, I might have an issue with the 53% to some extent.
And that's where we get back to the question, like Chaka was saying. If the question was actually, "Are you okay with white people?" Yes, no. That's a misleading question right there.
Okay.
They didn't
Well,
even tell
See,
us.
you just said, how would you have to answer that? Like from what you just said, say you just had one of those encounters that makes you just, let's say, you want to do bad things, or you're speaking some bad stuff in the back of your head. How would you answer that question if you were asked at that moment too?
Well, I
Or
mean,
at the end of a
we're talking
line
about
of,
we're talking about. I'm from Louisiana. We're more mixed than anywhere else on the planet. From Louisiana. So I mean, I have people in my family who are white. So even if I have an encounter outside of my family or my friend circle or whatever, and I'm pissed off at this group of white people, I can't come back home and still have the same attitude, because guess what? There's people that look just like them in my family.
so when asked that particular question, "Are you okay with white people?" you would always answer yes.
Well, it would
However-
probably there might be an asterisk next to it. It's not going to be because
Well,
if I'm
that's
gonna
the
be
survey question, though. They don't let you explain. You can only have, it's binary. It's on or off.
All right,
That's
well,
why
then-
that's why this
I-
stuff is so tricky.
Well, I would
Yeah,
probably
no
be a
telling
part
what
of
the
the
questions
47%.
were.
Yeah,
They
I
would
know.
have to tell
No,
us.
that was the question. You can find the survey somewhere.
Oh
if you
yeah, okay.
look. Yeah, they
And-
published
but
their surveys.
how much was the sample size, and where did they freaking ask these people?
I haven't actually looked and found it yet.
That would be
I'm
a
just
good
going.
thing to be. for
The
us to
article
be
I
able-
had actually quoted the question.
Mm.
So the one where I was reading what he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the article that I was looking at actually had the question, which was,
Alright.
"Are you okay with white people?"
Well, and I know that this is one of the big things on Chaka's list. Hopefully we can kind of get through this a little bit because I know we got I don't know I mean I'm here as long as we need to, but I just think that we can maybe get to a few other things tonight. So
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Dilbert thing is tough. Let me play a little bit more though.
People after U.S.
This is the
newspapers dropped a comic strip. Elon Musk accused the media of racism against white and Asian people after U.S. newspapers dropped a comic strip author, Scott Adams, who made comments about white Americans staying away from Black Americans who think it's not okay to be white, who he called a hate group. The Los Angeles Times, Washington Post, and USA Today were of the newspapers that canceled the Dilbert cartoon. Let's watch the comments that he made.
So if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group. And I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the away. Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this.
well,
This
listen.
can't be fixed.
Hey,
So
look, let
Adam
me ask
said
this.
on his YouTube
Let-
channel, just to
let me throw
summarize
a
what that
spin in there.
was.
Go ahead.
Because we talked about demographic, what if they talk to a whole group of Moors that understand what white and black really is, and they're saying that no, it's not okay, because I mean that would also mean being not being black wouldn't be okay. So I mean that's a whole nother because I mean I know the average person like this guy, the Delbert, whatever his name is, he's looking at white people as based on skin color, which in reality, white has nothing to do with skin color at all. There's black people darker than the half of Doc's sign right there. That's considered white just because they come from North Africa or South Europe. If you're coming from that area, you're considered white, no matter what your skin color is. That construct. So I mean, if we're talking about context, we really gotta, this thing can really get crazy because, and when it boils down to it, maybe there shouldn't be a white or black. I'm not okay with the construct of that at all.
Yeah,
Anybody?
I agree. I agree. That's what I was saying at the beginning of the show, and that's the reason why I wanted to talk about the Dilbert situation, was because the idea that I was saying global revolution, and these conversations are so, imperative for the revolution to happen. We have to get to the point where we're able to have these conversations truthfully and honestly, from the directions that how we really feel about it,
Yeah.
so that we can get to the point where we can, because we're not going to agree on everything, people can go away from the conversation still feeling like they're superior or whatever. That's not the point. The point is coming to some general consensus on things.
Well,
And
it's
you
tainted.
can never get there.
It's tainted from the beginning because all right, all right, because even us, we start arguing with each other based on a bad point that was made by somebody that, and we're trying to clarify why this and why that and whatever. But totally, when we're looking at the whole picture of it all, like, it's ridiculous that this is even a thing, that okay, because of a poll, now white people should just look at black people and not even like have nothing to do with them, and maybe even vice versa. But
That's why I think that it's the whole thing is he made some real extreme, like testing free speech type of comment. And I think that he did that to get this result because it's gone viral, of course. And, now you having all. I was watching some random news show and they were talking about it. And it's like you have to talk about this candidly. Like, how can you talk about these comments without, because it's about the nuances.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
Related to the affirmative action, related to him checking black on his,
Well, well, yeah, and I
senses.
get that. Maybe he's gonna turn out to be a much more of a civil rights warrior or human
It
rights.
could be unintentional. It couldn't be as far as going
No, no, no,
viral. He wanted to
no,
go
no, no, no.
viral.
What,
But
what,
I
what
think
I'm
what?
he has
saying
a
is,
plan.
No, I think whatever he's doing is definitely intentional. Now, what his expectations are is uncertain to me, but
what I'm
whatever.
saying is the
At this point,
results.
everything he has done has been intentional. He's like this is like he's telling us that he's been trying these different angles of you know trying to get the movement further. And because I mean the whole him putting himself as black, I mean that wouldn't be no big deal back in the 1920s and maybe even up to the 1940s, because Irish and Italians were considered black all the way up until then anyway.
Well, it was the idea of what Karen Hunter was saying. If everybody just checks black on the census,
Or everybody check
then
white. See,
or
and see that
everybody check
that
white. Either it
see
don't
but
matter.
that's
It's
see, and that's my whole thing with it, is that based on how you think about yourself is how you should, what I'm saying, because you like, for black people to continue to say they're black or a minority or any of that is because of them looking down on themselves.
but the idea of everybody checking black or everybody checking white, the
Yes.
idea is the results of it would screw with the system. It would throw a monkey wrench in the system. You
Hmm.
understand?
Exactly, and I totally agree with that. And see, that's the thing, because like I said, based on a construct, I mean, the whole idea that we don't see ourselves as humans anymore. I'm a I'm black, or I'm Hispanic. I am anything other than superior, even in just my own world, regardless of what anybody else, how anybody else sees me. I see myself as a supreme being, and for you to not check yourself as being that on your own, because you have the right to self-identify. So white has nothing to do with your skin color, which they've made people believe, but white just means that you're just you have a superior position on this land. Everybody check white. Everybody check black. If you want, everybody wants to be a minority or whatever, like, because the color of law. I mean, if you really get into it, the color of law takes you like you're an imaginary figmentation. Even though you are breathing, your heart pumps and this, that, and the other, you're pretty much telling people you don't exist. So how about we all claim that we exist here? How about everybody goes, instead of saying we're all black, everybody say you're white, regardless of what you look like, you know. Shoot, let's really mess it up for females. Say you're male. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these things, all these identities, because instead, especially if we're talking about work, politics, like our votes and this, that, and the other, how does that help anybody to say that I'm this, that, or whatever?
And when you have a system set up that's designed that way, that's how
Well,
it benefits.
is that it's designed that way, but we are the government, and because they're trying to they put these things in the way for us to separate ourselves from each other, instead of I'm a human and you're a human, regardless of it's male or female, you know, like, and there should be a lot of the LGBT that should agree, because it's like all this non-binary, because I mean, regardless, it's binary. I mean, there's males or female, and based on the science that I've always known, it's only by is what you one or the other. But either way, you want to throw in an argument, like, why even, why do I even have to have the option of I don't want to say what I am, male, female, or I don't want to say. Like, I mean, it's all confusion.
Yeah.
It shouldn't
But
freaking
I like
matter.
what you were saying though. Yeah, is if then no reason to check male or female, because it's human.
It's another contract. If I'm a Democrat or a Republican or whatever, no, this is who I'm picking to you know what I'm saying, regardless of what your party is. Like, this who I want to see as president. Ching, this is who I'm voting for. This is who I want to be my mayor. This is who I want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, all these contracts, and we fall right into the trap. Each one of us, regardless of what we're marking, we're falling right into this identity bullcrap. And I think that this, the more I think about it, the more genius this guy is than I think. I mean, look, if it's more of a, I don't know, is that a sneeze? If so,
Yeah.
God bless you. Yeah. But this guy, I mean, he is. We definitely got into this argument, and for us to get to this point is really showing that he's more genius than you think.
That's why I covered it, because I saw it a lot in the media, and the conversation needs to be had. Let's cover a couple other things, because I know I'm about to lose y'all, and I'm tired as hell. Look, check this. Florida senator introduces bill that will require bloggers to register with the state government before writing about its actions or officials. A bill has been proposed in Florida state legislature that will require bloggers to register with the state and be approved before reporting on state government and its officials, including the governor, the lieutenant governor, a cabinet officer, or any member of the legislature, per text of the bill obtained by the Hill. The bill, introduced by Republican State Senator Jason Broder, states that if a blogger posts to a blog about an elected state officer and receives or will receive compensation for the post, the blogger must register with Florida Office of Legislative Services on the Commission on Ethics. Failure to do so would result in fines.
Oh, so they're asking people to actually be journalists, because if you're going to report, you make sure that you're responsible for what you're reporting. Is that pretty much what they're saying?
I'm not the biggest fan of it, but there is one thing that I have to agree with. If they're doing it for profit, if they're making money off it, if it's their profession, then they need to register with the ethics office. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that I think it does bring some, because I mean,
And if you don't live in their state, they can't hold you to it anyway.
It's got totalitarian. It smells like totalitarianism to me.
No, you know what sounds like totalitarianism? California passing a law where you can go to jail if you misgender someone.
That's bullshit. That's
totalitarianism.
Yeah. No, you see, look, I think that we've, especially when we're talking about media and, people, the whole misinformation thing, because, I know they're looking at, the, coming up elections in the next 2 years and so on, that a lot of people say things that gets believed because of their following that might be full of crap. So, I mean, okay, you have to follow a certain level of ethics, which used to be, common up until they've taken away the you know the laws in which held you accountable for that kind of stuff in media. So like a lot of journalists quit because it's like, look, I'm like I'm here, like they're gonna tell me what I can say and I can't say. What what I'm saying? I th- I th- I think it could be the beginning of something that might really need to happen, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think people are afraid of the consequences because a bunch of people really want to just say what they want to say without any accountability. So I think that this might at least be a start to um, getting proper information out there, and you can't just go out there putting lies about anybody. Or I mean, even like it could be beneficial, like even to the public, because what is being said, especially if we're talking about medical, politics, like what you're saying about these things need to be accurate.
Well, they ain't saying nothing about nothing being accurate, bro. They haven't said nothing
But
about that in this
we
bill
don't
as I'm
know.
reading it.
We don't know any kind of standards or anything like that I know
Yeah.
anything about. We don't know what it all is right now. All they're saying, all we see is register,
Well, and yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's gonna be the
and
beginning
that's
of it.
only if you get paid.
So okay, so
And it's a state law. So we live in Texas. We can fly the middle finger to them all we want to.
Yeah, I don't really.
yeah,
It's
Texas could be a state that would do it if it. I think this is a lot of hot air anyway. I don't think it's gonna make it. Let me read some more. It says exactly what it says.
Well-
Beginning $25 a day. That was the fine. It says exactly what type of journalist falls under the category of blogger is not well defined, but the bill's language does state that the term does not include the website of a newspaper or other similar publication. Paid bloggers are lobbyists who write instead of talk. They both are professional electioneers. If lobbyists have to register and report, why shouldn't paid bloggers? Broder told Florida Politics. A First Amendment lawyer speaking to NBC News speculated the law would not withstand legal challenges. It's hard to imagine a proposal that would be more violative of the First Amendment, they said.
well, let me
So,
ask. Well, let me
like I
ask
said,
this.
I don't even think it's gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the things I would have to ask, because I mean, we have to definitely consider what is actually, because that would fall under the First Amendment. So
Yeah.
we need to, really see how that lines up with that, because I'm more on trying to protect the Constitution than people's feelings, and
But I think Ron DeSantis is good at doing this, and he makes it's politics, and then it's not anything that they're gonna actually be able to do. Like when they were talking about the books in the school, like they are giving them a hard time with the books, but that's going in legal territory too. So
yeah,
it's getting
yeah,
challenged.
I'm gonna leave that conversation alone, because that part I'm still trying to understand parts of that whole scenario, because it's just some BS to me.
Let me read some more. It says Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is widely believed to be weighing a 2024 run for the White House, has not publicly commented on this particular bill. However, DeSantis has frequently employed anti-media rhetoric publicly in the past, according to February 2023 report from Politico, urged GOP state lawmakers to weaken state laws that have long protected journalists against defamation suits and frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah, I don't know. I think some of these things are meant to, especially when we're talking about the presidential election. A bunch of these people who are jumping in on the Republican side, I think already are in cahoots, or I say cahoots, but are willing to, like they'll take it as far as they need to, but will also be willing to withdraw when it's when Trump gets close enough to win.
Well, and free speech. Here's something too. You can say whatever you want about anybody, but if you're going to sit there and rack BS about politicians and stuff, shouldn't you have consequences for that too?
Well, that's. I think everybody has consequences, regardless. I mean, even us. I mean, may not be, heard by millions of people yet, but at some point, regardless, we still have to be responsible. At least, letting people know this is my opinion. This is not necessarily,
Yeah, so that's gonna be the consequence. As soon as you start saying something that the government doesn't like you to say in your state, they're gonna start making you pay money. They're gonna start fining you or whatever.
Well, you're just saying doesn't like. Again, we don't have any information about what it covers or ethics wise, but I'm seeing that more as people just publishing just outright lies and stuff like that.
It sounds like 1984 to me. You take it's little steps. You take little steps.
1984 is what I was talking about. Holding the media actually accountable after what they've been doing the last few years, beginning to tell them, hey, get real, get right, stop scaring the public, stop publishing whatever lie you
they're
want.
Talking about
and not having an answer for it.
They're talking about bloggers, bro. Fucking NBC and CNN and Fox.
But that's
they all lying to us.
Well, see, and that's the point.
Said that didn't include them.
That's what my point is, because they're talking about bloggers. They're not attacking the freaking main media who's really pushing the lies. These little regular folks, some of them are lobbyists, they said, but it's not like the real
if they're
big,
blogging
huge
pro
media
or anti-government information, then they are lobbyists. They are just using a different medium to lobby. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, so but I'm saying the bill is attacking bloggers. If they're really what y'all saying on a crusade of truth, they need to attack MSNBC.
There's no definition of blogger. You said that, and you're getting all excited after you already said there's no definition.
There's no definition
of
blogger.
Know.
Blogger sounds like a regular folks.
You're FUD, man. FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
That's what it sounds
like.
Maybe that's what they're trying to curtail.
There is a definition for it, and that would be somewhat what we're doing right now. Video logging. Giving information by video or even,
Yeah. So if I sit on me and y'all sitting on this show, and then we say something bad about the governor of our state, and then they come in and start fining each one of us.
But I'm totally okay with it. I don't care. Like, cause I mean, if I say it once, I'm gonna say it twice, and I'll tell them on a Saturday, Sunday, any other day. But the whole thing is that one of the things I think that we've kind of forgetting is we still do have a constitution. It hasn't been burned yet. They haven't totally written us out totally, and that's the part that I think that us as a people need to really continue to fight for, because we don't know what kind of constitution will come next if they was to totally erase this government.
You mean try to rewrite it?
Well, no, I mean I'm sure that they already
that's what they'll try to do.
Plan. Yeah, they'll try to rewrite it, but that means a new government. It wouldn't be the United States of America anymore. Like it would be something different, and it would be
It hadn't
most
been that
likely
since
something was.
since the Federal Reserve started.
Excuse me.
But things can change. The 38th state ratified this amendment that went in like 100 years ago, and it had to do with men and women. What is that story? Did y'all hear about that?
Well, you know, Texas is the only one that has the legal right with our contract to withdraw from the United States to succeed.
I think Alabama could as well.
Well, no, we're the only state that it was actually part of the written deal with America to go into the state that we, under certain circumstance, I can't remember what it is, votes or something like that, that we could actually succeed from the union.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I think it was written in, but I mean, either way, I mean.
Yeah, they'd never let it happen. I mean, dare to dream, though.
Yeah, exactly. Because I ain't gonna lie, at some points I really wish that the feds had nothing to do with our way of life. But you know, it is what it is. Of course, I'm just gonna say it is what it is. But I do, I do promote that we stick as close to our current Constitution, because regardless of how much people say it's these people's law and this, that, and the third, like, you just need to catch up on your history so you can really understand it, and maybe even read some of it so that you can really know where you truly stand within the government.
There's an amendment. Okay, here it is. I found it. So Doc made the comment that you can change it, and we have a Supreme Court right now who is not as afraid to do some radical stuff. Clearly, regardless of where you stand on those things, but they're bold moves. But check this out. But this is legal. This is the Constitution. What are you talking about?
President Trump signed phase 1 of a long-awaited trade agreement.
Is this the right one? Yeah.
With China. Beijing pledged to increase its purchases of U.S. farm products and other goods. But U.S. tariffs on $360 billion in Chinese imports will remain in place for now as the trade negotiations enter their second phase. We'll take a closer look at what is at stake, and we'll hear from one of the president's.
Where's the fucking clip? I haven't seen this, so.
Bars discrimination on the basis of sex.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, hold on.
Which bars
This is
a crucial 38th state.
This is an amendment to the Constitution.
Virginia became
Dude,
today.
I remember this. I was 13.
38 states ratified the 1972 Equal Rights Amendment, which
I was 3 years. I was 3 years old when
they first. Okay, yeah, it's old.
Bars discrimination on the basis of sex.
52 years.
Let me play it so the people
put it
can
in
know.
The Constitution. Equal rights.
Yep, and this is a big deal. It's gonna have to, but then it's all about how the Supreme Court, what do you call it? You know, how they understand it, how they interpret it. So that's a thing. But I want the audience to understand what this is.
The 1972 Equal Rights Amendment, which bars discrimination on the basis of sex. Its House of Delegates and State Senate approved the amendment today. It needed the backing of 3/4 of the states to add it to the U.S. Constitution. However, ongoing litigation makes it unclear when or if it will be added. Russia's government abruptly resigned.
Damn, that's all. Freaking, I saw a clip, Democracy Now, I think it was, who was explaining it. But that's a big deal. And it's like 50 years or whatever the number is in the making. And the Constitution says once you get over a certain number, then it becomes an amendment. So it has reached that threshold, and that's going to become law. It has to be recognized because that's the Constitution.
Yeah, all 50 states must recognize it as part of the law, even though they pretty much already do, and more than the original. I mean, I don't know the exact wording of it now as opposed to what I've been, what I was reading growing up. Because I'll tell you, I've always thought I always pretty much thought every state passed some sort of Equal Rights Act anyway. I mean,
did.
The laws are there.
This will make it federal. So whenever you have those state laws where you can have someone come in and be like, force you to do it, because that's what they had to do when they did integration, right? They had to have federal help.
Dude, some schools had to have federal troops.
They couldn't trust
mine
the state.
wasn't. I think I was in Florida at the time, and it wasn't that big of a deal there.
They couldn't trust the state to,
The funny thing is, it wasn't as bad in the South as it was in other places. As much as everyone's saying the South was so racist, it's like, at the time we were all friggin' poor down here anyway, so we didn't care as long as we got as long as they went to school. But then again, I don't really count because I got bused with the other colored kids over to the white school because I lived in that school district.
Well, the point of it is having the
Which was
will
odd,
to
they leave me
enforce.
there.
So, because if we're talking about gender, let's go back to gender and the gender keep treating them the same. But you how do you enforce that? Like Doc was saying, like different states already have this on the books, but are they enforcing it? You know what I'm saying? That's the issue. That's why this would make a difference. And because they were talking about the equal pay for equal work, there's a huge disparity there. I mean, there's no argument. The data is there. And, and there's other areas that's very similar to that. So if you got all of these states with these laws on the books, like you said, they're clearly not enforcing them.
That's one part, but it's not. And who is they? The people?
The state, the government.
Well, I mean, enforcing it on who?
On the people, because that's what they have to do. Enforce it on like companies, businesses. If we're talking about pay, forcing them to comply.
Well, the thing is maybe we need to have a class action suit that brings it because it's not really their duty to go out and sue people. Now, I mean, they give people tickets and this, that, and the other, which probably is unconstitutional anyway. But the fact that, like, in order for that to be brought up, like us as the people would have to bring it up to the courts.
I hate those. It's a suit answer. The government their job is to enforce the law. So they should be able to
enforce the law on whoever is not complying.
Okay, so what? So there shouldn't be any process to how that happens.
However, they need to do it.
Just okay, yeah, just do it. Okay, and then, all right, that's fine. I won't use my lawsuit as an answer anymore because
I don't like
that. Well, I know because that takes effort, right? Like that takes people having to do something.
No, I think that it doesn't fix the problem. You do one class action lawsuit, so one company has to pay out, and then they just continue to do what they do, and then you got other companies that's doing the same thing. So what? You got to go sue each company.
Yeah, because I mean that's
and then it don't even change.
Well, and that's
Nothing changes. They just
yeah,
pay.
but see that's one of the reasons why we got to get those type of people out of office that we would be asking to do something, because if they're not doing it, we need to replace them with people who actually do their job. Instead of making friendships with the corporations, we need people who, that's just like you and I, and we're like, that's some BS, and we're gonna call them on their shit, and they're gonna get fined, they're gonna get whatever. But that's not what we have. We have people who are in bed with the corporations that if they were to enforce on them, they would be enforcing it on themselves.
So making more people aware of how things work, and like you were saying, the power is to the people. We have to
speak up and say this is bullshit. Like it's never changed, and by us complying to everything makes us really incompetent, because you don't even know your own laws. Like you're the head of your government, but you don't even know what the hell going on.
I want to do one more because I'm losing it. This one is a Dallas reporter called the mayor bruh. She was fired for the comment. This is kind of related to the subject of the free speech, kind of going back to the guy we were talking about at the beginning of the show. So this person is a Dallas reporter. They called the mayor bruh. She was fired for the comment. You know how people talk now, they're not using this in a derogatory term. Like, it just kind of comes out, it's kind of how people talk now, like
okay.
And
Look,
this is who this is
it
what
was
they
a
choose
Twitter
to
post. It wasn't in the reporter pool. In the reporter pool, I understand the addressing of someone with a familial, bruh, bro, fam, cuz, dude, bad, not professional. This is a Twitter post, man.
They need
different rules, different etiquette applies.
They need to calm the hell down. So here's the tweet. It says, bruh, national news is always going to chase a trend. Cultivate relationships with quality local news partnerships. Is that the tweet? That is a tweet. It says, excuse me.
You all right?
I need to drink some water. Hold on.
I would say you ain't bring your tea this time, huh?
Megan Mangrum, a reporter for the Dallas Morning News, tweeted this in response to a tweet by Mayor Eric Johnson saying local media had no interest in reporting good news. So why are we focusing on this? Is what I see. Okay. You know how the media does. It's distraction. So the fact that she said bruh totally just negates her making a very good as assessment there, right?
No, I want to tell you right now, that's used in a condescending manner. Bruh. National news is always going to chase the trend. But fired them over it? No. Pull them from the reporter pool, covering the mayor? Okay. You
Well,
don't cancel someone for that.
yeah,
They get demoted. In the military, they'd be Article 15. You get spanked a little bit.
Yeah, but I like it. It's saying no interest in reporting good news. I'm saying they are the internet and the media. They're so clever at being able to cover up what should be taught. The message that was meant. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Is not heard because the whole story is bruh
Yeah.
and you getting fired or whatever.
Well, that's
It's
because everybody's got to take their cheap shot.
I don't think you get what I'm saying. I'm saying the
I'm
comment.
saying they did it to themselves because they needed to get that spot in. They needed to get that quote, maybe even soundbite, whatever. But they had to say it that way.
To cover what was, there's a actual message here. There's message here. No interest in reporting.
Yeah, but the message is lost when you dismissed me.
Yeah. So the message is lost when they dismiss her by focusing on bruh when they're telling the story.
No,
Instead
that's a dismissal. Okay, is it going to start out that way? Never mind. I don't want to deal with it.
Let me read this. It says, when the Dallas Morning News fired reporter Megan Mangrum last month after she posted a tweet addressed to the mayor, it was, she says, over a single word, bruh. Mangrum's dismissal and her use of the term to address Mayor Eric Johnson set off a storm of responses spanning issues of race, workers' rights, and one factor that guides many people's sense of what is appropriate, a generational divide. I think
so she's getting fired for this, according to Megan. According to Megan, I'm getting fired because I said this. Oh, okay.
I don't get your point. Who the hell is Megan?
The person that fired. Look at what you're talking about right
Yeah,
there.
no, I see it, but still,
according to Megan, she got fired because that single word.
Yeah, so Megan is.
So we're doing all of this over her saying, "I said, bruh," and they fired me. It's all her saying this. We have no verification that is why. Sounds to me kind of a little bit like she might have been kind of pushy. And yeah, I mean, a whole lot of stuff went off about it, but all of this is according to her, she got fired for using the word bra in that whatever in that statement.
It's bruh. That's how I go, bruh.
Well, there's bruh, there's bro, there's bro. I mean, there are ways of saying that, and the internet is an impersonal medium.
And you can't
determine
tone,
bruh.
But you can't determine tone through text.
Yeah, but the next statement was basically going, well, you know that media's going to do this, so why don't you do that? That word, that way, hitting it set the tone for that whole statement.
I think the people is old and sensitive because I think people talk like this now, and they're
again, like I say, it was
haven't
a tweet.
adjusted.
It shouldn't have been a concern. It was a tweet.
Yeah,
if it had been in the reporter's pit doing a Q&A face to face, I would have issue with it.
Yeah,
not professional, and you know that,
right?
I'm tired of people trying to do other twists. And it's not a culture thing. It is you don't use familials
Familiar.
address
Yeah.
while in a professional situation.
Yeah. Well, and I'm learning Spanish, and in Spanish they have words that are formal and informal, and it's in certain situations it's not, appropriate to use that informal. And when you're in a formal setting, you're supposed to use the so. I get what you're saying. That
I've
is
got
right.
the vocabulary in Spanish of a 2-year-old. They're just now starting to work on me getting sentences together.
Yeah. So, but the point of what you're saying is right. What I'm saying is people talk like this, like, and and like you said, it was a tweet.
Sorry, my cat just decided to stab claws in my back because I wasn't paying attention to him.
Yeah, cats tend to do that.
Come on. Come on.
I'm fucking losing it.
Come on.
I think I had one more thing, but I don't know if I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, see, it's his fault. That's why I just yelled in everybody's ear.
Yeah. Shit, man. I think I might have to wrap it. I gotta work a double tomorrow, so I'm gonna have to.
You trying to say something?
You're so cute.
This is my kitty Rorschach.
Yeah.
And he's named after the guy that invented the ink blot test, not the guy from Watchmen.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the show, the cat story? Did you catch any of that? The monologue I did?
No, I haven't been able to do. I've been pretty busy. Strangely enough, it goes from dead, and then all of a sudden, we're just like getting jammed at work.
Yeah, I was busy tonight. I did a story about a cat. So if you guys didn't watch that, watch that.
Yeah, I got sat with an 18 top 20 minutes before we closed.
I like cats. Total world events on the 27th. That's old. I think freaking I kind of wanted to talk about China and negotiations with Putin, but I don't think so. I think I'm gonna wrap it. You have anything? I think I have. Let me see if I have one little short clip. That dude that killed his was he a lawyer? Murdoch?
Oh, yeah, they sentenced him.
Yeah. He thought he was gonna get off. Check this out though. It's a little more to it, the story. This says a Murdaugh family death in 1940 was also suspicious and eerily similar. Washington Post. South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh on Thursday of murdering his wife and son, but the story won't end there. Murdaugh faces dozens of charges related to financial crimes, and documentaries have highlighted a number of additional deaths that are or could be connected to the family, including of a housekeeper and 2 classmates of Murdaugh's children. There's also a suicide for hire plot Murdaugh is alleged to have arranged so that a hefty life insurance payout would go to his surviving son, nicknamed Buster. An incredibly suspicious 1940 death of Murdaugh's great-grandfather, Randolph Murdaugh Sr., who started the family's legendary law firm, also led to a payout benefiting his son, who was likewise nicknamed Buster. It's like dun dun dun. It's like this dude been whacking people for a minute. I guess that's how it goes, right? You can only you get bold. You can only get away with it so much, you know, for so long. Oh yeah, this was related to the racial thing. Let me play this right quick.
I'm not going to do it.
Well, you're just anti
I'm not
leg
black.
washes.
I'm not going to wash my legs and feet.
You think that's just a black people thing?
Clearly,
Well, and he's
the only one here who took the day off washes his legs and feet. No, I don't think it's a black thing. I think using a washcloth is for poor people, but I
Yeah.
don't think that washing your legs and feet is for black people.
I agree. I think the washcloth is a poor person thing. Because
I've only met poors who use them. I've never.
did you try it even yet?
No, I'm not going to do it.
Well, you're just anti
I'm not
leg
black.
washes.
I'm not going to wash my legs and feet.
So the dude says poor people use washcloths. What do y'all think? And it was kind of racial too. I don't know.
Okay, so right before that thing happened, there was a whole bunch of TikToks and stuff come out with like mixed race couples and stuff like that, and it's like the white one you go into the shower and like the black one following them with the washcloth going, aren't you gonna take but chasing them with the washcloth and stuff like that. So that was actually in the media and being talked about enough for them to pick that up because it was bouncing off of that horrid TikTok thing.
Yeah, but so what do you think about the idea of, it's poor people who use washcloths, or maybe poor people was a euphemism for black people?
No, I think he's just talking shit and trying to be funny because he's like, I'm not black. I don't wash my feet and my legs. And then he said, yeah, I do a minute. And then anyone that uses the term the pores is obviously being funny unless they're just like really rich and dumb, which he obviously is not.
Yeah.
I think he was joking about it. And from what it seems is like there's a black person that's normally on the show that wasn't on today. And it was like, damn, I wish he was here. I'd be playing with him.
It sounds kind of racist to me, though. Do you think there's a thing with white people not using washcloths and black people using washcloths? Do you think there's a thing with that?
Well, I wouldn't know because, well, I've been freaking poor.
I guess from my perspective too, right? So like that's the same.
I don't know if it's a race thing. I mean, it's what we were told to do. Why wouldn't you?
It'd be like I ain't never been rich, so like what so how do I what do they use? Those sponges, those freaking what do you call them? The skunk, what do you scrunch? What do you call that thing that you squeeze? You know, loofah. That's what you call it. Yeah.
The scrunchie for the shower.
Yeah.
That's a loofah.
Yeah, I suck at names. Anyways, so what is that? Do they use those? People with money use those? Is that what they trying to say?
Isn't that a washcloth though?
I mean, come on.
Just a fancy one.
I'm saying.
I mean, you get it at Target, not Walmart.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. Like, what's really
Bed Bath and Basic, bitch?
Is that what it means?
Sorry.
It's the same. I see it as the same too. So I don't know, man. That's crazy.
Hey, I don't see why you wouldn't, but then again, I can't afford a personal servant to be able to scrub my body for me. So, and wouldn't they also?
So that's what it is.
And wouldn't they use a washcloth or something?
Yeah. What do they use?
We talking about the Romans that just put oil on them and then use the scrapers to get it off of them?
No. They just get water. They just get soap sprayed on them with some kind of like pressure hose, and then they in the shower or some shit. Like they have some kind of thing that shoots out soap. I don't know. We don't know.
Hey, I don't know. I actually have had some poor people that are moving up tell me a bidet would change my life, but I don't know if I like the idea of cold water spraying up there.
I think that's a better way. I think that most of the world does that. I think it's fair and everything. So we're also chemicals. We're causing us hemorrhoids. We're causing us cancers. They're all coming from us the way we.
The hemorrhoids are coming from us sitting on the toilet reading books and sticking on the phone for hours.
But it has to do with our posture too, because the way we sit on there. So it's the posture, and the toilet paper is fucking us up. It's fucking us up. That's a whole.
Leaves seem to work before.
That's a whole show right there.
Corn cob, if you know the area of the country.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. My great-grandparents had a stack of corn outside a box that was no longer used outside their back house. But, yeah. I mean, they built indoor plumbing for them finally, but they still had the outhouse out there and still had the corn cobs.
Yeah, man. I talked about corn cobs.
Grandpa would occasionally head out there because all that newfangled shit.
Yeah, I was really surprised when I came across that in my studies, how people used corn cobs. I couldn't even imagine that.
I'm just thinking about a dry corn cob, and I'm like, that can't be comfortable.
Like, that couldn't have felt good. That couldn't have been pleasurable.
Feels like taxes.
But anyways, the toilet paper is messing us up, bro. I think that the bidets, that's the way to go. And really, I think most of the world does that. That's one of the things that's really backwards about us here in the United States. We're backwards with some stuff, and that's one of them. The way we go to the restroom.
So you don't like cold, juicy water gushing at our buttholes?
And I think it has to do with money too. The corporations are the ones that has so much of a stranglehold over how everything goes, and people are always buying toilet paper. Like that's a huge ass industry.
Look what happened when the pandemic started.
Exactly. That's
huge... eggs were expensive, man. I remember what TP was back.
People were fighting. They was beating up old women for toilet paper. I was witnessing. I mean, I didn't see fights, but I saw how people were just going and getting like all the toilet paper. But look, who
they were
benefits
selling
from
it
that?
for $1 a roll at their complex.
Who benefits from this? The corporations benefit from that. Those bidets, you don't need all that. So that's less capitalism, you know. What was I gonna say?
You still do, or you need a cloth still, because you still have to dry off. So you still end up using either a little bit of TP, or you end up using a little bit.
No, they don't. The rest of the world, that's what I was talking about. United States, we're backwards when it comes to some stuff, and that's one of them.
When you use a bidet, it's
water. They don't use toilet paper.
You still have to dry yourself.
But they don't use toilet paper. That shit got chemicals in it. It's real harsh on your skin. You rubbing away all of your natural, basically
Stop
rubbing your
buying it
skin
at Dollar Tree.
because the other ones got all with the lotions and the chemicals and shit. That's what that is. You rub it in there.
Actually, the one I'm using
And the
right now,
fibers.
the one I'm using right now is made from bamboo.
Fibers. You're getting fibers out of that bamboo.
Say, yep, and it's one of the most renewable resources in the world.
We culturally, United States is really kind of like, because the United States like to feel like, look, let me give you one good example. The metric system. There goes another one where we're clearly backwards, bro. How come
Because at no time we've been able to implement a system in education, because everyone's so freaking battleground on everything education. I mean, so far the war on drugs has taught more Americans the metric system than any other thing that the government has tried to do.
Well, if they wanted people to, they could. Everywhere you go, everything you deal with.
That's only weight, not distance.
For all the measurements, everywhere you go is foot and I mean, my brain. I'm going slow. My brain is going slow, but I know y'all follow me.
Do you know how to approximate distance in the metric system?
I don't know that I could look up the freaking.
No, why? See, why do you have to look it up? Okay, a 5K run is about 3 miles.
But why do we give these?
Because we have to convert. The thing is, if you told me 50 kilometers, I would know the distance just as well if you had told me 30 miles.
But we should. This makes sense. The
I would
tens
math, but I would know it.
The metric system just makes sense. It's 10, 10, 10 instead of 3, 6, 9, 3.5 a foot.
If it makes sense, how come you couldn't do it?
Because
because
it's
you
pointless.
weren't taught that.
Because I wasn't. And that's my point.
I had to teach myself that.
But listen to the point. The point is, I'm saying the U.S. is backwards, and that's one example. Is how we don't use the metric system, which is what we should use because it just makes sense. It works way better.
You say it makes sense that we should use it, but you can't use it. Then how does it make sense that we use it?
You teach everybody it. There's a reason why we.
Okay, like I said, steps, stages. You're saying we got to. Like I said,
the stuff you buy at the store, you buy a gallon of milk. You go, but the water is by the gallon. You know that's all perpetuating this backwards ass fucking really stupid.
Well, do you know how much
system.
a liter? Do you know how much a liter is?
Versus a gallon? No,
30,
I don't.
33 ounces.
What's the point of that?
4.09 liters in a gallon.
That's not the point. That's all the way not the point.
It is the point. You're arguing that it is the best system and we should use it, but you can't use it. Then why is it the best system right now?
I'll pull it up on my phone. I can use it, but you
Okay.
can't. We have to do
Now,
conversions
you
because
realize
they put
one of
the
the
milk in a
biggest
gallon instead of by
one of the biggest
the
space
liter.
problems we had was because they forgot to convert between metric and imperial.
We measure the football field
We
in
actually
yards.
talked about that.
It's like, what the hell is a yard? Like, come on, you got to hear me.
What is a meter? What is a meter?
The math comes out better. That's the point. The
But
math makes sense. It's just
it does make sense to me because I understand it. But you are like 80% of Americans, and it doesn't help you.
it doesn't. I ain't gonna lie. They tell me 25 kilometers. My brain doesn't know. But if you told me 25 miles, I mean, maybe I could do better. But the point is, why, this is a cultural thing that we have a problem with here in the United States, is that we feel like the way we do things is the best and the right way. And, it's a stagnation is what it is. It's arrested development is what it is. And that's what I was saying, that the toilet paper and the way that we poop and the way we measure things is two examples of how here in the States we're just kind of stagnated. And we're stagnated because of this arrogance. And we're brainwashed.
I don't know, man. I'm not feeling a whole lot of the brainwashing because I do understand all that.
But you deserve. But you,
I'm on a different plane.
But you prefer to use the freaking American system.
Well, I'm using the American. No, actually, it's the imperial system, not the American system.
Yeah, I couldn't think of what the hell you call it.
But I use it because that way people understand me. Obviously, I still have to do a little numbers in my brain, but I can use either system. However, I'm lost when it comes. I don't do temperature in metric very well.
And
the rough formula on that is like this times that minus this, and
that's another example of that system. Is
so
like
I can figure it out after a little bit. But you know what?
At the point of water freezing is the perfect ass spot to freaking, measure temperature.
Okay, then what's absolute zero then?
What do you mean?
Well, that is the temperature colder than freezing when motion activity stops.
Okay. My point is
that's where you have to start using things like the Kelvin scale to do best.
My point is freezing and the measurement that we use is like 32 or some shit.
Yeah, I'm still. If I'm not mistaken, that is because of the use of mercury thermometers.
It's stupid.
There is a reason for it.
It's dumb.
It is dumb now. Hundreds of years later, I mean, you sit there and shit on the past and all of that so much.
Why we haven't moved forward then? That's what I said.
Yet you want to cling to your ancestors. Yet you want to deny the history of everything else.
We have gone backwards in the way that we live in societies. We go look at the Aboriginal.
But we're not. We are moving forwards. That's why people don't recognize the elders anymore. That's why they don't recognize the past. That's why they're repeating the bad things that happened in the past because we don't recognize it. We don't remember it.
That's two different
We don't
arguments.
try to understand the new ways, even though we have to cling to the old ways to be able to live in the world.
We do, and I agree with that. But the measurement system is not one of those old ways that we need to adhere to. I don't even think it's that old.
That's why I learned with it. That's why I learned it. That way I can talk to people from other countries. And if I say miles, they're like, huh? I can go, kilometers. And do that because that conversation was necessary for me. But it's not necessary. 90% of people don't need it. Matter of fact, they just think that the numbers in the kilometers mean they're going really, really fast, and they like to say, "Oh, it'll go that better than it'll go miles per hour."
They, who the hell? 8, 16, 32, 64, whatever. What the hell? that's it's dumb. And our arrogance is the reason why we can't let it go.
I don't know what that is.
That's the ounces. That's the freaking liquid
okay,
measure.
yeah.
It's dumb, and we need to let it go.
Again,
but we think we better than everybody else.
You sit here and say it's dumb, but at the same time, you don't know the history behind them either. Again, it wasn't dumb when they were using it. There were reasons, but yes, we've come along. We need to come a lot more. Yeah, cups and stuff and things like that. That's another where in the smaller amounts. You know, I know my weight. I know my weight, not those amounts. Well, those are amounts not necessarily based on weights. A weight system is more precise.
Exactly. The metric system. Gram, half a gram, 2 grams.
Well, that also requires the ability to have. That also has the ability to requires the ability and money to have a scale, and not just
change the whole thing. How many grams is in a tablespoon?
But how are you going to survive if they do that? Because you don't know any of it.
How many grams is in a tablespoon? Can you tell me that?
Absolutely not, because they're different styles of weight. One is by weight, one is by volume.
Oh my God, it's really
no. The funny thing is, you're laughing at it, but you don't understand that that's a weight and a volume. Those are two different measurements.
I get it. I'm just saying I'm trying to make the example of how ridiculous it is, and we're holding on to it.
But you're not just holding on to it. You can't embrace the new system.
I don't want to, because it's dumb.
Exactly.
It's 10, 10, 20, 1, 10. 10 on top of 10 on top of 10 on top of 10.
10.
That makes sense.
Multiples of 10.
That makes sense.
But
that makes sense.
But it doesn't make sense to you.
Okay. I'm going to have to wrap it. It's almost 3 a.m. and I'm going to force myself to go to sleep. I work a double tomorrow.
Ooh, yeah. I don't do doubles anymore.
And I just did.
But I work 6 days a week, so.
And I worked all day yesterday too, and a couple of times earlier in the week. I ain't gonna lie. I've been on grind mode. It's trying to make some moves in my life, so I need to make sure my freaking paper is extra right.
I've got most of my license stuff taken care of. I need to start saving for a car right now.
Man, I want to get one of them cloud beds. I've been wanting it for the longest. This bed I sleep on, I can feel the boards. It's like the mattress has kind of like.
Walmart has a nice little twin size if you want a bigger one for like $229 of those. It's Zinus. It's one of those little foam beds and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want the one that takes the heat because
Well, supposedly, okay, here's what really happens. You end up laying in a hole that ends up turning into a cold puddle because of your bed sheets are still there. They don't pull the sweat away. It doesn't pull the sweat away from you. It's not that much cooler. You're still going to sweat.
Yeah, I freaking laid on one of those beds and I almost bought it that day. And I've gone back plenty of times before, and I really think they're really cool. I think it'll work for me. Those ones, they're expensive, but they control the temperature. Like, I think that shit is so amazing. It's kind of like, how like you want to lay on the cold side of the pillow and you keep the flipping the pillow over. But the way these beds, and they have pillows too, the way the bed is designed, that spot it never gets hot.
Okay,
That's
yeah, we're. I always thought you were talking about the astronaut mattresses.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about this one. I think it's called a Cloud. I could be wrong, but that's the technology that they have now. And they have them in different kinds of mattresses. It doesn't have to be the foam, I don't think. I don't know. Don't get me to lying, but it's this technology where it freaking it sucks the, it takes the heat. Like you don't leave a hot spot where you lay. Freaking so cool.
Yeah, I run a high body temperature. I'll always challenge that.
I'm telling you, man. I went and go to the store. They'll let you, because they're trying to sell them hoes. Go to one of them stores and lay on one of them damn beds, and then you'll know what I'm talking about.
Well, see, my two goals right now are about $1,400 for a PC and about $8,000 to either buy out flat or put down on a car.
Yeah, well, just
And
go to the store.
Then I'm going to start driving people a few days a week, and then I'm going to have all the freedom I need.
You don't have to buy the bed. They have these test beds. They go to one of them stores and lay on one of them beds. But everybody, whoever's listening, if you don't know, if you ain't never laid on one of those beds that I'm talking about, go do it. You don't have to go buy the bed. You go in there and pretend that you finna buy a bed and go lay on the bed, because they're gonna tell you to test it out. They got these special shaped pillows and shit. The shit is amazing. Anyways, peace and love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.
Peace.